Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to another Crypto Maniacs podcast. John Go here with Task. We're here for your viewing and listening pleasure because I don't know what you could possibly be doing with your hour more than spending it with us. Right,
Nothing
Task?
better you can do. This is the best use of an hour of your life
Absolutely. You will
on
not
the internet.
regret it. You will never regret time spent with us. I'm already starting to regret it. No, I'm just joking. So hey man, first of all, we got to check in. You got slayed this weekend. You okay? Did you lick your wounds? For those that don't know, Leo Threads had an epic weekend battle where members of the community had to slay the dragons basically, and there was four of you guys that were in prime target. Sad Cry, yourself, Nomad Soul, and Cal.
I think even you beat Cal.
I slayed Cal and Eric. Nomad
Oh,
Soul.
did you get ahead
Yeah.
of Eric?
Yes. So I was right in the middle of the pack there. I think I ended up 58th overall.
Hmm.
50th, but some of these guys that were saying you, man, like, wow, what an absolute epic weekend.
Well,
What do you
it
think?
was, and the numbers reflect that. In the Threadcast, there's a chart that Eric put out that I posted that we can talk about. But and it was great to see, and we gave the infrastructure a test drive. But unfortunately, and people are saying it's because people are tired. The numbers have dropped off significantly, and
Right.
so
Right.
what I hypothesize, and we'll have to see over the next couple of days, is this was an incentive system that incentivized people in the short term, but now they're gone. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, done that. And it didn't do anything for the growth of the platform. That's my opinion at this point. We'll see if it turns around, if indeed people are recuperating and resting. Some people did go all in and
Right.
go crazy. And the point I made, and I sent a thread out about this yesterday, and this ties into what you and I talked about, John, with long-term focus.
Mm-hmm.
All these people are fighting over $10,000, which you're not going to get $10,000 because there's many different prizes. Unfortunately, if people spent their time on threads and realized that by building that up, that in a year you'd have more than $10,000 in your Hive wallet or your Leo wallet, you're ahead of the game. But see, people don't do that. They take the short-term focus and, I want to get $200 or $300 from the contest, which is fine. Earning money off contests is great. But if through Leo Threads we get uh, you know, Leo, the token, to let's say 50 cents,
Right.
well, guess what? You got $200 with 500, less than 500 Leo.
Mm-hmm.
So, and for those people who have a couple thousand Leo, you work at that, all of a sudden you have a few grand.
Mm. Right. Yeah, it's. I mean, I this is what I struggle with. I struggle with trying to not lose my mind daily when I scream at the top of mountaintops, get active. I truly believe that, and we joked at the beginning of the show saying, the best use of time this week is to watch us and listen to us for an hour. But honestly, the best use of your time, in my opinion, not financial advice, just my opinion, is to be active on threads, is to be active on Hive. That's what's going to matter in a year or two from now. That, to
Well, but
me,
you don't get that without spending an hour from us. So
right.
you
You
spend the hour
have
with
to,
us,
yes,
and we tell you this stuff, then you go do it, and you are going to
absolutely.
be successful.
Guaranteed. You just got to buy our ebook for $47. We'll tell you how to make $47 online. Buy our ebook for $47.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, you spend the next year threading, you're going to make $47 in threads because you'll make them from me just in upvotes. And then if threads gets to or Leo gets 20, 30 cents.
Yep.
I mean, it's, but again, it reverts back to the same thing as we always find.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's
Well,
showing up and doing it? And everybody wants the rewards in any area of life, but
yeah.
they don't want to do shit for it. And it's like,
Right.
oh, well, the one who has that super body, they have the genetics. No, the dude was in the gym,
Yeah.
3 hours a day, 6 days a week for 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. They stopped eating the fried chicken for
Yeah,
yeah. Right.
exactly. So it's it's always the same story over and over again, and people are just happy. I guess people are just happy being wage slaves because
Yeah.
that's most of what we grew up in the economy we operate in. We're
Yeah.
wage slaves. You
Yeah.
show up to a job and somebody else is in control of your financial future, called the boss, a company,
Yeah.
whatever. And it's like, well, I want out of this. No, you don't. You because all you do is complain.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. But
I
yeah.
wrote this
Yeah.
morning, how Hive's an opportunity. Are you going to take it or drop the ball? It's an opportunity. There's no guarantees. There's no givens.
We seem to write about that, you and I, a lot these days. Like,
Yeah, well,
opportunity, potential, stop being lazy. Yeah.
it's just it's just getting worse and worse because people just are expecting to be handed stuff, and it's like because of all the new tools,
Yeah.
it's like it makes the complaining even that much more preposterous. I mean, it's Splinterlands broke that mold. I mean, way back when, if we go back through the time machine,
Mm.
when John and I started here, when Moses was a boy, way back
Mm.
when, before
Yes. Yes.
electricity,
Yeah. Yeah.
we used to post with smoke signals. That's how
Yes. Yes.
we would post. But there was Hive and HBD. That was it.
Yeah.
That's what was the payout. And Splinterlands was really the first area, I believe, where people actually had something else on Hive that had value to it.
Yeah.
And of course, we know during the last bull run, there were people sitting on huge decks, and still are, I guess.
Yeah.
But today, because of Hive Engine, which was a great addition, and Layer 2, and now other games. Tuesday we had, or last week uh, we had Lindos on with Exode. There's CyberX, there's a lot of games, there's people D-City in it. I mean, there's a lot of different things on Hive now that weren't around 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, nothing other than Splinterlands has really taken off, but there's a potentiality if you're into something like I am with Leo that I think is going to take off. And,
Right.
I got some LVL. I like what Bob the Builder told us. I think CyberX has a wonderful roadmap. I think they can do some things. It may not happen, but there's other opportunities. But you have to get active. You have to get involved. You have to do something. And you can't sit there and say, oh, I'm getting downvoted. Oh, the whales are downvoting. Take a look at, you took a look at my account the other day.
If anyone wants to see someone being downvoted, please look at Taskmaster 4450LE and talk about downvotes. That's a topic for another day. Tokenized society, brilliantly put, friend of the show, of course, brilliantly put in Vim. I have 2 jobs, but I still make sure to find time to be on Hive. No excuses, because we're all given 1,440 minutes a day. What you choose to allocate that time to will determine your future. I've said that in quite a few ebooks over the years. For $47, learn how to make money online. You want to get into people's questions?
And by the way, John accepts HBD for this.
I do, yes.
Send them 47 HBD. And
yeah, I'll even take $1 off. Do 46 HBD. You want to get into people's questions? Because you put up a threadcast and people showed up again. Ready for this? Let's get it going. And I have to. Here we go. And even put a nice chart up. So we are serving the ads here on Leo Threads, because those ads are gold. And I'm going to make a post about that in a couple of days. That should be a lot of fun.
No offense to you, but hopefully Cal makes a post about
Right.
it. I mean,
That's
it's
who
like,
matters.
yeah, it's like, tell us what the flip is going on, please.
Mm,
You know, but
potential.
anyway.
Yeah. Perfect. Eric has got a couple questions. What protocols or crypto companies do you think are a good fit for Leo Finance partnerships? What
I mean, it's, I commend Eric for what he's doing. Um, the answer is, I think, none.
Mm,
Simply because, and I don't mean that to sound the way it's coming across, but there is so much tribalism in crypto. I don't think you can really talk. I mean, we've seen Three Speak talking about this for a while, and you know, Starkers and Dan have reached out, and basically they got their hands slapped. So I don't know if you're going to really be able to do that in terms of a partnership. I think maybe positioning threads as a way to entice some of these projects to at least utilize it. But then Eric tried to do that with the communities, and the communities, I mean, they handed out delegation, and the communities aren't even posting. So I think you're trying to piss into the wind there on that one. It's just. Uh, I think we have to really focus inward first, and that's where the solution comes from. Get the numbers, get the things in place that we're looking at getting in place, get the ad revenue going, get the money coming in from ad revenue, get the token excitement, and that's how you start rolling it out. And then you become the big fish. Then you don't become the ones that are going to others then come to you. And I think Leo could do that because, again, I've said this time and time again.
mm.
There's actual business building going on.
Right, and that's actually Eric's next question, which I'm going to touch on here. He said, "How do you see the Leoverse evolving in terms of business and marketing?" I made this post last night, and the whole gist of it was, yeah, be a product of your product. But the bigger picture, what I was trying to get across, is that we have everything we need in this ecosystem. All we need is users. And yes, it'd be great to go and get 5,000 people outside of Hive, 10,000 people outside of Hive and bring them here. But why don't we worry about getting the 5,000 to 10,000 right here? Because just like you said and what you mentioned, once you create something and the users that are already there are using it, loving it, talking about it, people come to you. People start knocking on your door. You don't need to be the person going out going, hey, let's make a deal to promote my stuff and I'll promote your stuff. No, people will literally come to you, knock on your door and say, how do we do business with you? Which is the position you always want to be in business. You want to be the person that delivers value and people want to be around that. And I think Leo does that, and we're starting to see it. And we saw it this past weekend. It was on full display what happens when people get fired up. Now what happens if, and I'm not saying, there's not potential for partnerships and shaking hands with other companies and that and this and the third, but I think the position that Leo is in is very unique because it is setting itself up, obviously not Twitter size, but why did people want to be around Twitter? Because the people used it. It was a source of news. It was a source of conversation. It was the town hall meeting. It's where people. That's what Leo is becoming right here on Hive. Imagine what happens if all of Hive starts using it, and then you start seeing all these monthly active users going through the roof. And it's not us begging and pleading other people. It's right here. And that's my approach. I think, if they come, great. If they don't, and I'm talking they outside of Hive, if they come, great. If they don't, it's whatever. Like we don't need them. They'll need us. And I know that sounds cocky, but there's nothing else out there like this. So, anyways, that's my speech on, yeah.
Yeah, it's the first thing is, and you know this, John. I heard years ago, great marketing of a crap product is a fast track to bankruptcy.
Right.
And you can pull in all the people you want, but if your product sucks,
Yep.
they're going to leave. I mean,
Mhm.
and online you have a problem with attrition to begin with.
Right.
The numbers are not great, and so this has been always my point. If you bring all these people to Leo Threads and Leo Threads is dead, and you don't have a thread but once every 15 minutes, you think anybody's going to stick around?
Yeah.
No.
Right.
And that's where people have to take the responsibility. People who have Leo in their wallet have to take the responsibility that this is the direction of an asset that you own. You better get involved,
Yep.
and you better make it an exciting place so that when other people show up, they say, hey, there's something here, there's activity. And you're right, we can do things internally that through the development of building this business, we can do things like bringing in revenue, like getting the tokenomics sound, like integrating different things, developing the application, utilizing these things called threadcasts, maybe getting a scheduler up there so
Right.
that, we take a different approach to things. And once you start doing that, and I think the end game ultimately, because this is what seems to drive people, is if you have the price of Leo skyrocketing, the number of users coming to Threads will skyrocket
Oh, yeah.
because they can't help but being like flies drawn to light. And at that point in time,
Yeah.
then you're sitting there and you're not promoting, oh well, try this little Web3 thing. You're sitting there promoting, saying, hey, we got a market cap of $20 million,
Yep.
and it happened organically. These are things that you can go out there and do. And really, I think it's going to come down to part of the overall Hive conversation is what outside of Splinterlands, what is the next big hit that takes place?
Yep.
Is Leo that? And if it does, then all of a sudden you get the excitement like you did around Splinterlands.
Yep. Yep. Really good. Um, yeah, I love the questions, Eric, and I think that Leo as a whole is getting positioned, if not it already is, to for some really big things down the road. So you are doing a very good job on this marketing stuff inside of Threads and Leo as a whole. So Jimmy's up front of the show. Jimmy Adames. The Latino community is just crushing it on Hive. What can other groups trying to grow on the blockchain learn from them? What do you see as the primary factor to their continued growth and presence? I mean, dude, that's a huge question. I mean, we know, as we've had a lot of people from the Venezuelan Hive community on from Sucre. Uh, they just this is their thing. Like they absolutely love it. They you know are just in love with the potential of what they can do here on Hive. Um, and I hate using the P word, passion. And there's obviously a lot of other issues that come into play with why certain communities will really be attracted to this. But I do believe passion plays a big role, and pocketbooks. I mean, like, it's again, if you upvote someone in Venezuela and they got $5 in upvotes to Task and I, and it might be a great day for a latte frappuccino mochaccino grande at Starbucks, but for someone in Venezuela, that could feed their family for a week or two.
Well,
So
the grande will cost you $7, John. You got the
right.
non-grande for $5.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. But I do see passion no matter what the community, from every community really that really has embraced Hive. You see that there's a genuine love for this stuff, and people are excited to be at the start of something big. So that's my opinion. I know a Task is going to go much more in depth with this, but what do you see as the primary factor for their continued growth and presence?
Well, I don't see a strong Latino presence on threads.
Mm.
There was a strong presence this weekend. There were a lot of posts. I actually didn't see any posts in Latin, so I don't know where Jimmy's coming from there. Uh, that's just kidding, everybody. No, I mean, there were a lot of Spanish posts, which is wonderful. A lot of Spanish threads. And the great thing about the Spanish tag trending is it did let people know that Threads
Right.
is multilingual and you could come and post in your language. And we want to encourage that, and that's wonderful. Of course, what happened after the contest was over, like the English speaking threaders, the Spanish speaking threaders
Right.
exited stage left. So, we're back to a handful of people. And I've talked to some in Sucre. Um, there is a problem because of Leo Mobile right now. They can't take advantage of it like they would. There are other members in Venezuela who are able to get on a little bit easier, which they are on there, and that's a good thing. Um, really what it comes down to, in my opinion, with all of this is John mentioned passion. I'd say desperation.
Mm.
Um, desperation is a great motivator. And again, that's why when you look at just taking a bigger crypto look, you look at Ghana, you look at Cuba, you look at Venezuela, you look at Nigeria, you look at Argentina, you look at many of these countries around the world, Malaysia, Indonesia. These are areas that are economically disadvantaged for many different reasons. And something like Hive allows them to tap into a global economy that's much stronger than even their local economy.
Right.
And that's where it's a benefit. So, we have to keep encouraging that. And again, going back to threads, I mean, I'd love to see more Spanish speaking people on threads. I'd love to see more threads in Spanish, because a lot of those people, not all of them, but a lot of them come from areas that we can have an impact because it's a much lower bar. And also we can educate these people because I mean the financial and economic the financial education in the developed world is shit. And I
Right.
think that's by design. But these people don't really have a strong foundation in money and finance and investing and things like that. And that's where we can explain the difference between income, which means taking the tokens that you got and just immediately swapping them for whatever and going and buying something versus actually doing stuff that builds wealth and the long-term vision. And okay, maybe you don't do it with all that you receive, but you keep 90% or you keep 10% staked to keep that growing, and you try to grow that over time, and you use the rest to pay your bills,
Yeah.
and you start to adjust accordingly. I mean, these are simple fundamental financial concepts, but much of the world in the developed and the developing world doesn't understand this. Especially with consumerism and all that crap pushed upon us. So I don't know if it's really a question specific for the Latino community any more than it is for any other community. I mean, we know the numbers in Web 3.0 suck. We know the numbers in cryptocurrency suck outside the green candle movement and when mooning. Um,
Green candle.
Utility sucks. I mean, the
Yeah.
influencers. John and I are probably some of the leading crypto influencers on the internet.
Oh
Not
yes.
so much we got the biggest following, but because we actually use this shit. And
Yeah.
we make videos and posts about using this shit. We're not on YouTube with 50,000 or 100,000 or 200,000 followers talking about, how Ethereum's going to hit $22,000 or, oh,
Mm.
Web3 is the next big thing. And we're posting on YouTube all day.
Yeah.
I mean, it starts again in house at home. Are
Yep.
you using all the different things? And not all the different things. You don't have to use everything here, but are you on Leo Threads? Are you using Peak D? Are you using 3Speak? Are you engaging with people? I mean, Threads
Mm.
changes the engagement that we have.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've talked to Bradley Arrow in ways that I never did before. I've talked to Tokenize in ways I've never did before, because it's one thing to comment in the comment section of a post.
Right.
It's a
Yeah.
much different engagement. I mean, I've talked to, different people in Venezuela outside Sucre. I would never have talked to these people if it wasn't for Leo Threads.
Right. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a reason why I share the Vim link on different social media platforms, because we're streaming on Vim. We're streaming on other places, but we're streaming on Vim. So big shout out to Vim. I'm going to delegate some Hive power to them today. They need it. They are an amazing project that flies under the radar a lot. But let's dive into. So Sad Cry wanted to know if it was you and John Go. Yes, it's Task and John Go. Liquid Eye said we should switch to Wednesdays. For a reply to that, go check Task's reply on that. Lots of fun there. Tokenized has a question. What do you think are the best things about Leo Thread so far, and what needs to be fixed and improved?
Well, the bugs. That's a starting point.
Yeah. Everything. We are very upset with everything they're doing. No. Yeah, I mean, I think bugs is a constant thing. You're always going to, the more people that are using it, the more it tests the system. So there's going to be things that break, especially because Leo doesn't have a development team of 70. So this is the thing. This is true Web3, man. We're not, in VC funded here. This is axe to the grindstone, man. So there's going to be things that are going to break, and they will get fixed. My big thing for Threads, this is the best thing about it is just what Task described. Like the ability that you can have to interact with people now, it's a lot different than just going and commenting on someone's blog post and getting a reply, compared to this where there's actual interaction and you're not under the watchful eye of the powers that be to start getting downvoted on your comments. Amazing how that works too. Big shout out to the Leo community. I don't think I've ever seen like a lot of downvotes inside of Leo. I think people are generally pretty happy to distribute the token, but that's for a topic for another.
Well, like most others, there isn't even a button to downvote.
Yeah.
Nor to edit either.
That's something to fix, right? Let's have an edit button.
Not only on Threads, but on long form, no edit button. So these are some things that technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Yeah, exactly. I was supposed to. Eric Nomad asked me to stop by the When Soon show today, but I was really late to even get here. But the questions that were asked as one of the Zealy campaign, what would you like to see improved on Leo? And the dog is going crazy, of course. Hey, Sheeps, come here. Sorry, I have a 100-pound Rottweiler that sees a bird and starts freaking out because the bird is going to get the dog and hurt the dog. The question was, how do you improve Leo, and what should you do? What can we do to improve? And I said, the biggest thing that I saw this weekend was the absolute the addiction to gamification. It was clear. Like I've been doing this gamification stuff inside of CTP. We had badges before badges were a thing. Like we're going back 15 years. That how we've been gamifying the learning experience in online business. Gamification is real. It is a big thing. Game-based marketing was a book I read about 15 years ago that changed my entire approach to how you do this. Gamifying stuff, numbers, leaderboards, badges, rewards, the Zealy campaign, all of this stuff feeds our need to continue to keep going. It's a carrot stick that never ends. So as I'm sure Tass will agree, because he's been on his pedestal talking about this for about a year or two, more numbers, more stats, more leaderboards, more ways that you can see your progress. Imagine if you had a big bar and we have all these little ranks inside of there. There's these big, look at the on the screen right now. You see the Threads there's a big space on the left, big space on the right. Imagine if you had a bar that showed you growth potential of your account when you would hit the next level. So you'd be a kitten, a cub, a lion, a leader of the pack, apex lion, and you had this progress bar on one of the sides there that just kept showing that all of your activity was growing your account. And then maybe you could even gamify it more and say, if you keep up the current rate, for example, you would reach the next level at this date. And then people would want to get there quicker. They will want to power up more. They will want to engage more. Just any way you can gamify the experience where people are seeing their growth and seeing the levels they're achieving. We do that in CTPX. There's progress bars inside of CTPX. You know how many times people ask us, what does this mean? I just want to get to the next level. We don't even know what it means yet. We have plans for it in the future, but we just said put bars up, progress bars, so people know that they're getting to they're progressing. You put something like that in Leo, it's game over. It's absolute game over. That would be my big idea. Gamify the entire process. Numbers, stats, leaderboards. What say you, sir?
Well, to give you some 411, there will be a gamification tab at some point, and it'll have all kinds of stuff on it. That's already planned. It's just not high on the list right now because there's much bigger priorities. But yeah, I mean, it's Eric did a wonderful job constantly updating the list throughout the contest, and people were excited to see it come out. In this threadcast, I put up the total thread count chart. There it is, John, if you want to share that out. It's great to see progress because I stand by the adage, people like being a part of something that's growing. And when you see progress, when you see stuff growing, that's a great thing. And we have to understand that what's today, the 23rd of the month?
23rd.
We've had the new UI in beta for 23 days. So it's going to take a little while to work through the bugs. And John's right, there's always going to be bugs. But, we have some major cockroaches right now because, it just they a lot of shit wasn't tested, I guess. And mobile is a mess and that certain thing. So I'm highly confident they'll work through them. They keep working out updates. Leo Finance's history is the developers keep bringing out updates, and over time things will improve. But that means that goes back to the social aspect. That's the technical side. Goes back to the social side. What are we doing to make Leo Threads great?
Right.
And it goes to the engagement. I mean, John and I were playing around last night on Threads and making fun of each other. And Jimmy and I talk about Mets baseball and, just wait till we get to football season. And if the Giants are somewhat good, Jimmy and I will have some real battles there because no self-respecting Giant fan will respect a Dallas Cowboy fan. Just like a Buffalo Bill fan, we'll have to find a Patriots fan for you, John. And you could do 100,000 threads as to why Patriot fans are just morons. Not that you think that, but you do think that.
Secretly, not secretly.
So, I mean, it certainly does take the engagement to a different level.
Yeah.
Bradley, I asked where's tokenized society, and somebody said Bradley abducted him. I asked if he was hijacked by aliens, and somebody said Bradley abducted him, and Bradley made this flower bed, and I said it's a great thing to grow pot in. And he turned around and said, or it's a coffin. I said, you're saying that after somebody said you abducted tokenized society. He's like, oops, I didn't know that you said that about me. I mean, you get the playful aspect of things. You get the human aspect of things. And, that's what really develops community. Yes, we can be serious about our posts. Yes, I've been writing posts about changing your mindset, Web3, monetization, you're a business. But it doesn't mean you can't go and have fun and show your human side and, call me or John funny names and talk about bald guys in sunglasses. Yeah. I mean, that's what it's about. And that's something that I don't think people have latched onto. And, oh, by the way, you see John, you make a comment about John, he'll upvote you. You make a comment about me, I'll upvote you. You go into our threadcast, we'll upvote you. I mean, this is all stuff that does not exist on Web 2. And here's the bottom line. You can spend years on Twitter. You can spend years on Facebook. You can spend years on YouTube. And I don't know which of these platforms are monetized. I know YouTube is. I think Instagram is. But guess what? You can spend years on there and not make a dime. You put a thread up and I come by and see it, odds are you'll make something. Okay, it may be a little bit of Leo, a little bit of high power. It won't be anything to write home about, but you just made more freaking money than you did on years on Twitter.
Yeah, and for me, it's like if you had that progress bar and you could see your account growing while you're getting these upvotes in real time, and it gives you a date when you'll hit the next level. I became leader of the pack this weekend because
I was going to say congratulations on
you.
becoming a sperm line. I can never remember.
Sperm line, 50,000 staked Leo plus.
You were real proud of that.
I'm happy, man. I mean, I didn't think I was going to. My original goal for the start of the year was to hit 50,000.
I say congratulations.
Look at these promoted posts. I love you, Leo. Let's do we've got a bunch of Splinterlands questions all together here. So let's bang these out because we got a lot more questions from Tokenized as well as Jimmy got another one in there. But let's do these Splinterlands ones together because it's time for my rants. So we'll go J Fang, Cal. So Cal basically wants to know what is John and yours opinion on this current state of Splinterlands. Jay Fang said, did John sell out completely from Splinterlands? Last show or two, he kind of hinted because he used to love the Gold Foil Legendaries. But then this was the start.
I don't think you really hinted. You said it very explicitly. You're out of Splinterlands.
Yeah. Okay. So. Just a little sidetrack, fun. We have like you said, we're very playful here, right? So I was on Threads yesterday talking about my absolute love for Ethereum and MetaMask. My absolute love of it.
Did you ever find your Rooney card, by the way?
I found it. That's the story. So I found my Rooney. And I had an offer because the way that OpenSea works, because it's an Ethereum, so it's my only Splinterlands card I got left. So Jay Fang, that's your answer right there. I've sold everything except for this Rooney card. So I'm trying to sell this Rooney card, and the way OpenSea works is you got your floor price, but you also have your best offer. So your best offer was like wrapped Ethereum. It was like $700 or something like that worth of Ethereum. Yes, please sign me up. I paid like $300 for it. So doubled my money. Great, whatever. Let's get out. Doesn't work that way with Ethereum because with Ethereum, you have gas fees. And the gas fees I had to approve for $6 worth of gas fees. I had to approve that I wanted to sell it. And then I needed another $30 in gas fees to make the sale go through. I graciously enjoyed with the experience, paid my $40 or whatever it was, and the stupid transaction failed. So guess who lost all of their gas fees? This guy. So after I lost it, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't stand this stupid blockchain. I don't know why. It's the most annoying thing on the planet. But let's do another way. So I put a sell price up for Rooney. It's it's more than the best offer was, but much less than what the floor price is. It still hasn't sold yet. I don't even know if I have to pay a gas fee to sell it. I don't even know. I freaking hate Ethereum. I can't stand it. It's the epitome of what's wrong, other than the moonshot boys and the stupid meme coins. It's Ethereum is everything wrong with crypto on a user experience level. Now that I got that out of my system, we'll go back to the question that Jay Fag wanted to know. I have noticed that DEC is dropping in price. Do you think it's caused by the SBS announcement change from collection power to SBS? The DEC supply is still quite large, but it's being burned daily. Look, the Splinterlands is killing me. I loved the project. I thought it was going to be my retirement. It still potentially could be people's retirement. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for Splinterlands. I'm taking my toys and leaving. And it's really weird because if you remember Task, what you said, people's accounts during the bull run in Splinterlands was worth over $1 million, like market prices. My account had 7 figures beside it. Never in my wildest dreams did I expect bunch of NFTs to be worth anything. So I've seen where it can go. I sold, and I have not regretted my decision once. And there's lots of exciting things happening in Splinterlands. There's lots of good things that are happening. I'm sure it's going to do 10x whatever I sold it for. For me, I saw it going way too many directions. The nail in the coffin for me, even though I'd already sold out, was seeing what they did with this change of how they're doing the rewards for actually playing the game. It's now no longer based on your collection power, which we spoke about in the last show. This is an issue because all of these original investors and people that believed in this game, they were told basically since day one that the assets you own, the NFTs, that's going to be your real wealth. That's going to be your thing. Now it's shown that collection power doesn't matter. It's SPS. It's their token that they distributed for an entire year to the holders of the collection power. So the more gold foil legendaries and the better collection you had, the more SPS you got for that year. It was a great time in Splinterlands then, but then they've transitioned from collection power to the focus being on SPS. So it's no longer now about the actual cards you have, it's how much SPS you have. To me, that's again more direction changes. And I'm not saying as a crypto project you shouldn't adjust and you shouldn't move. I just feel personally that Splinterlands just went way too many directions in a short amount of time instead of focusing on what got them there. And what got them there was the promise of lands. What got them there was the NFTs. What got them there was the actual gameplay and the tournaments and the community, the lore, the sense of like this is something really cool. And now it's how can we make more money from selling more things, and let's all sell SPS or buy SPS because that's where the future is. I personally have no issue with SPS as a token. It's great. I mean, we in the index token, millions of DEC that's in there. It's our biggest holding in index. We have tons of SPS too. I think we got like 300,000 staked or something like that. Tons of it. I have no problem with that. No problem with that. Personally, for me though, I just saw way too many directions. And will it get back to where it's? Sure, it probably will, because it's a really cool game with really cool cards and a really cool community. But for me personally, it's just I just saw too many things, and it took my focus away from what matters. And what matters to me is Hive and Leo and CTP. So that's my 5 minute, was it? About 5 minutes rant. So, and now we got to see what Task does, because he's got all the gold foils now.
Well, I mean, I agree with you. I'm not an expert on Splinterlands, obviously. But here's the great thing about decentralization. You go 1,000 different directions, and then it all ends up morphing together, and you get this instantaneous explosion. Like, where the hell did all this come from?
Right.
The problem is while you're building this forest, you have just a bunch of disconnected little stumpy trees, and it's like a field, and it's like nothing looks connected. And when you have a project that is centralized, a centralized project or a singular project,
mm-hmm.
all those different directions make it difficult for people to track where progress is being made. And what you ultimately end up with is, from the outside at least, to the average person, it looks like dilution. It looks like, well, wait a second, we were supposedly going down this direction, now we're going down this direction. And it gets to the point where people say, okay, we started with 4 paths that we were going down, now we got 64 paths. And yes, at the end of the day, you may take those 64 paths, pull them all together at one at one location, and you just got something hugely, hugely powerful. But when that's happening, people are sitting there saying, we had 4 paths, now we got 64 paths. It's like you said in the last show. Well, land. Yeah. And land is supposedly out, but what can you do with it? And it's like you end up getting to the point where it's people start to think you never just finish anything and you just move on to the next thing. And whether that's just optics or that's what's really taking place, it doesn't matter, because if the optics are there, the optics are there.
Yeah.
And that's where, like Leo, why is Threads under the Leo umbrella? Because of this exact idea of dilution. Number one, from a token perspective, why is it under Leo? Why doesn't it have its own token? Because now you got to look at building value on another token. Now, maybe you can do it if you're successful with Threads, but why not have that feedback in the Leo? Well, what about some of these other things incorporated in the tokenomics? Well, Cub and Polycub are now feeding into, through the transaction fees, they're feeding into Leo. Now, what about the HB delegation? That's feeding into Leo, because now that's being used to buy Leo off the open market instead of the inflation. And see, this is how you start tying things back together. Even though these things seem to be off on their own and a different path, all of a sudden you just pull it back into the main thing. And that's the advantage of doing it under one umbrella. With Splinterlands, I don't know. It looks like this GLX project, this soccer project, is a totally separate project. Well, how does that equate to Splinterlands? Maybe it doesn't. Okay, that's fine, but what are you going to do with it? And, these are questions that people don't know. And over time, people like you, John, it's not so much you doubt the project. It's like, I'm tired of waiting. I got other things I'm going to focus on. I don't know where this is going, and I just have to conclude, for me, even if this is going to be a great deal of success, I'm not going to spend time trying to follow these 84 different paths they're going down and try to forecast when they're going to pull it all back together. Yeah. And that's fine. I mean, that's a decision people have to make. Now, people who are still playing Splinterlands, and I'm very honest, I've never been really deep into Splinterlands, so I'm not speaking anywhere near an expert level on this. But people who are in Splinterlands and playing it, they still may do exceptional. Those loading up on SPS may do exceptional. Those with cards may do exceptional. I don't know, but that's the tendency. And when people say, well, we got to get a centralized message for Hive. No, that's the wrong thing. Hive is decentralized. It goes in a million different areas, and we'll see what basically sticks to the wall. What's going to be next Splinterlands? But a project like Leo Finance, a project like CTP, a project like Splinterlands, a project like fill in the blank, you can't be going in 80,000 different directions, because people get confused, they'll lose interest, and basically you're not going to be able to make enough progress quickly where you can hold the people's attention before you pull it back together. Yeah, that's just my view.
Yeah, and just before we get off Splinterlands, again, one of the other reasons I kind of gracefully just bowed out, exactly what you said. I really actually have no doubt. I think it'll always be a successful project, and I think they're going to grow, no doubt in my mind. When they did the firings, though, what really took me by surprise and just context is that Splinterlands laid off a big chunk of their staff, 6 months ago or something like that. They actually removed Bulldog from their paid staff. Bulldog was basically instrumental in breaking Splinterlands into the YouTube market and getting thousands and thousands of people into the game, along with Infidel, and there were some really, really good content creators in Splinterlands. And he was community manager, and that struck me as like, damn, you don't see how important that position is specifically. That was just like, ugh, like, I like Bulldog. Bulldog stuff is fantastic. He's been on the show multiple times. So it's just it was exactly what you said, Task. It's not, I don't think Splinterlands is going to be a massive success. It's just like, it was draining, man. It was just draining. It was draining my attention. It was just pulling my attention too many places at once, and I needed to focus. I needed to trim the fat. So.
If I can jump in here, John, and going back to what we were talking about with numbers, but a different tilt on it, but it's the same concept. Put out a fucking roadmap. And maybe Splinterlands has, so I can't say. But it's fine if you're going down 64 paths. If you put out a roadmap and you say, this is what we're doing, and, you can put estimated times on them, and, okay, I know there's a lot of people who say, hey, you said it'd be out by the third quarter. Shut up. Those are forecasts, and things always change. But, it's like have a general roadmap that people can follow. So they say, okay, I see what you're doing. This fits under this section. And yeah, we thought this would be out by Q2 of 2022. It'll be Q2 of 2023 for this reason, that reason, the other. Okay. Delays happen, things happen, other things become priorities. These are evolving systems. But without a roadmap, it's like, well, what the hell are you people doing? And, there may be an internal roadmap. And, if you're a private company, you don't have to give anybody the roadmap if you don't want to. But if you have a user base that you're expecting to remain invested, not only financially, but remain invested with their time, you better put it out there.
Yep.
And I don't see a lot of that either. And it's one thing that drives me nuts about Leo Finance. If you're listening, Cal, how often do I say, write a fucking post? Put it out there.
Yeah, Morton said it perfectly. It's like when people taste the 100x, it's hard. 10x doesn't whet the appetite as much anymore, which is probably a big reason why Splinterland's decline has been so long here. Like for price, not the game. I'm talking about the price, because people really saw their accounts being worth a lot. So, but yeah, I have no doubt that it'll do good long term. It's just I'm much more focused here. Which, speaking of which, let's focus on Jimmy. Jimmy's back with another one. There are D apps. DApps. Do you say D apps or DApps, Task?
DApps.
DApps. Yes. DApps. That work here on Hive. It's nuts.
I say Mimi too.
Yeah, Mimi too, definitely. It's nuts that Hive folks continue to be immersed on Twitter, YouTube. We all use the Web 2 stuff, but if we were using Web 2 more than Web 3, it makes no sense. Yeah, this is my post yesterday, and Task has alluded to this on our show before. It blows my mind. Like, look at the numbers. Like, all of the marketing we're doing on Twitter isn't working. Like, all of the let's go out and get people to Hive if we use Twitter doesn't work. It's not working, so screw it. Use Threads. Screw YouTube. Sorry, YouTube. I know I'm streaming on you. Don't care. Use 3Speak. Use Vim. Use Peak D. Use Leo. It blows my mind why all of Hive doesn't do this. I know why some of the powers that be don't use a lot of this stuff, but that's for another topic. But the majority of Hive should be here using this stuff every single day. Be a product of your product. And that was my post yesterday. But yeah, it blows my mind too, Jimmy. And get Task started on this and watch what happens.
Well, it's it's the same old tired song. Either you're talking about Web3 or you're living it.
Mm-hmm.
And I put up, and maybe I'm a little excessive. I can be a little over the top at times. I've put up like 7,300 threads in 23 days. And most of them aren't just, yes, no. I mean, they're over 100 to 200 characters most times. And, that's called engagement. It's called using this stuff. I got over 2,000 videos on 3Speak. I got 0 on YouTube. Now, if somebody's on YouTube posting videos about Hive, okay, I'd say that might be a good thing. And talking about, some particular area, and if they got rewards, or if they started earning on YouTube and use that to buy Hive or something, okay, that's something I could get behind and say, okay, is cool. But the simple fact of the matter is these people are on these Web 2 platforms talking in their own echo chamber. And even if you fucking bring people over to Hive, what are you pointing them to?
Right.
Blog posts that most people don't have a care about blog posts, videos that aren't easy to find and aren't in areas that people are interested in, and that have no engagement on them anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's not that 3Speak engagement is any worse than YouTube. It's probably not percentage wise, but the difference is on YouTube, there's like 1 billion people. So, you have 1 billion people, a video goes up, it's easy to get 100 comments when you have 1 million views.
Right, exactly.
But, this is where it's like, what are you sending them to? To blogging. Well, people don't give a shit about blogging. That's only like 3% of the internet users.
Yeah.
Well, videos. Well, most people aren't content creators of videos. Most people use YouTube to watch shit.
Content consumers, right?
Yeah. And it's not that, I make content for you for Three Speak. You make I mean, it's there, use it, but keep it in perspective. So after 2 years of all this Twitter campaign and 5,000 tweets a day about Hive, what do we have? Go look at Arcane's numbers.
Yeah.
Are they growing? Do we have 1,000 people joining a day? No. Well, what are you doing?
Well, that's my point. Like, let's just use what we got. Just use what we got and let people come to us, because people will come if we are products of our product and we're using this instead of like sitting there begging for Twitter to like love us. Like, who cares? Who cares? Like, Elon's gonna do what Elon does, man.
Yeah, well, that's the dumbest thing. Hey, Elon should tap in the Hive. Elon doesn't give a shit about Web3.
I know.
What
like, people tagging Elon, you should. It's just.
He has no problem with centralization, regulation, oversight. He doesn't care. He has no problem with it. So, I mean, crazy. He's got to be like Hive, Leon, Hive. Look at Hive. He's not going to look at Hive.
Doesn't care. Yeah.
I mean, the only reason he looks at Doge, I think, is just a troll. I don't know if he even gives a shit about Doge.
Yeah. Token, I said, now that you mentioned Vim, do you guys know who's behind the project? What about having them on the podcast? We did. We had DDR Freak on the podcast, and Sharin is his partner, and they've been running Vim now for years. Great guys. One dude's Canadian, one guy's American. Kind of like this show. Great guys. Vim is just this flawless streaming platform that's been just epic since day one. They fly under the radar. They get very little support from the powers that be. But for guys that, remember I said that passion, they love streaming. They love gaming. They love giving people on Hive another option. I love Vim. I think it's brilliant. I made this switch really quickly. If everyone remembers the DLive fiasco on the previous blockchain, when DLive pulled their crap, Vim was there. I jumped on Vim on day one, and I stream these podcasts every single time on Vim. Love Vim. Great work. So, big shout out to the Vim team. Yes, Token, I said he had a couple of comments here before we get out of here. That's a great point too. I'm having a lot of laughs with my interactions with tasks and others on threads. It's easier to crack a joke with stuff like this, but this is the big thing that I saw. My finance knowledge skyrocketed since I joined Hive, and most specifically, Leo Finance. You learn a ton. You learn a ton just from engaging here. Mm-hmm. I'm doing a lot of the Zeely campaign, and one of the things is integrating Leo Glossary, a project from the man beside me here, into your post. So integrating Leo Glossary, the amount of work that Task has put into that, like the topics that are there. First of all, it's a wealth of information. It's Investopedia on Hive. You learn a lot just from being active here. So another big reason, not just because this is real Web3, not just because we hold the tokens, and not just because the community is awesome, but you actually learn something here. You actually get value from learning stuff and asking questions and engaging and poking around.
Yep, and Leo Glossary is, to my knowledge, still the only glossary / database of that type on Hive. Which, when I started it, 10 months ago, I said other people need to do stuff like this. And, again, nobody has taken the initiative to go and do it. It's like, why not? I mean, you could do this about poker. You could do this about movies. You could do this about music. You could do this about television shows. You could do this about baseball, football, the EPL. You name it. You could do it. You could do it about statistics, of sports or whatever. You could do it about geography. You could do it about your hometown. You could do it about travel.
Yeah. Hive is just this gift that keeps on giving, man. And I said it before, and I'll say it again. So epic show, man. The threadcasts are really coming across. People are really engaging with it, and that's awesome. So next, we've got to get some more communities involved, aka CTP guys. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. When TAS puts a threadcast out for the show that is featuring CTP as well, you should probably be active. Thank you, Jimmy. As a member of the CTP community, he's always active. But hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Jimmy is bigger than CTP.
Oh, he's
I
much
hate to
bigger.
tell you, he's no longer CTP owned.
CTP is like the gateway drug to Hive.
He's
like
hot. Jimmy is Hive.
Yes.
He's all over the place.
Oh, he's using everything. He's putting out he's putting D-Buzz posts, because D-Buzz does show in CTPX. Thank you, D-Buzz, for allowing frames. All of these sites that don't allow frames kill us in the CTPX community. But yeah, so big shout out to Jimmy. Big shout out to everyone checking in. Live stream was great. My Path to Fire was here. Morton Matt D was here. Tokenized Society was here, all over in Vim as well. We had Underskied as well. So thank you guys for hanging out, and we will be back Thursday. Is it Cal on Thursday?
Cal is on Thursday.
The apex of Apex Lions.
There will be a threadcast, so be sure to ask your questions for Cal. We will try to address them. If you want to make fun of Cal in the threadcast, that is acceptable too. In fact, I encourage it.
Yes. Yes. He has thick skin, so yes. He
doesn't listen to me anyway. So
no, I know. Everyone was like,
you don't even hear it. It's right? like,
we're gonna slay you, Cal. We're gonna beat you. Cal didn't even make a post the entire weekend. He's like, I don't care.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
He just ignores us.
It's okay. We're just peons, man. It's okay. I'm leader of the pack though. So next step is Apex Lion. I've got to triple my my stake.
John, congratulations on the leader of the pack. But I sense your britches you're getting too big for your britches. You do realize I'm leader of the pack in 3 different accounts.
Yeah, I know, dude. Okay, dude, because you saw the vision of Leo.
I told you about it. You don't listen. You don't listen to me any more than Cal does. Nobody listens to me. Oh, well.
Yeah. Guys, thank you for hanging out with us. We'll get out of here before we go and buy more Leo, which I'll probably do right now.
I'm buying.